morning, class. My name is Miss Brianna Kelly, and this is Miss Joan Kelly.
Good morning, class.
And we'll be teaching you about the mnemonic SOHCAHTOA and all the trigonometric functions involved in it. At this time, I'd like you to take out a piece of graph paper. It looks like this, and a pencil to write with. Then I would like you to draw a triangle just like the one here on the board. Be sure not to make your triangle too big. We're going to be adding labels, not just the ones on the board, but all other ones later on. And we will be doing calculations below this graphic as the lesson continues. Okay, is everybody ready? Let's begin. Miss Joan, what does the S represent in SOHCAHTOA?
The S stands for sine, and this is our first trigonometric function. What do the O and H represent then?
The O stands for the opposite side from our chosen angle, and the H stands for the hypotenuse of the triangle. What do you do with the O and the H when you're solving for sine?
You have to put the value for O over the value for H, or divide O by H. What about the letter C? What does that represent?
Well, C stands for cosine, another trigonometric function. What do the A and the H stand for in this function?
The A stands for the adjacent side, or the side next to the angle we have chosen, while the H again stands for the hypotenuse of the triangle. How do you use A and H to solve for cosine?
Well, you would place the value for A over the value for H, like in a fraction. Or you would divide A by H. Finally, what does the T stand for in SOHCAHTOA?
I do believe it stands for our last trigonometric function, tangent. This one looks different from the other two. What do the O and A stand for this time?
The O still represents the opposite side from our chosen angle, just as the A still represents our adjacent side that is next to our angle. How do you suppose we solve for tangent using O and A?
Well, we place the value for O over the value for A, or you divide O by A. All right, now it's your turn, class.
According to SOHCAHTOA, which is the first trigonometric function we should be solving for? If you said sine, you'd be correct, because that's what the S stands for in SOHCAHTOA. Who can tell me how to solve for sine? That's correct. Sine is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. Can anyone tell me which of the three sides on our triangle is the opposite? Would it be this side? What about this side? And how about this side? How about the hypotenuse? Would it be this side, or this side? The opposite side is defined as the side that is across or opposite from our chosen angle, which is B. Likewise, the hypotenuse is defined as the side across from our right angle in any right triangle, or if we're using any other type of triangle, the longest side of the triangle. Now, how do we solve for sine again? That's correct. We use the opposite over hypotenuse. Knowing that, which of our two values 4 and 8, would we choose for the numerator, and which would we choose for the denominator? Take some time to solve that for yourself. For your answer, you should have gotten 1/2. And that's because since S is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse, we would place the value 4 as the numerator or the top. and then 8 as the denominator or the bottom. So our fraction would be 4 over 8. But we still have to simplify. And since 4 can go into both 4 and 8, 4 goes into 4 once, and 4 goes into 8 twice, giving us the final simplified fraction of 1/2. Does everybody have that? Okay, let's move on.
According to SOHCAHTOA, which of the trigonometric functions should we solve for next? That is correct. We're going to solve for cosine. But how do we solve for cosine? If you said adjacent over hypotenuse, you'd be correct. All right, so looking at our triangle, which of these 3 sides of this triangle would be your adjacent? Is this your adjacent? Is this the adjacent? Or is this the adjacent? Okay. Can anybody tell me which side is the adjacent? That's correct. This side is your adjacent. Now, why is this side known as the adjacent? It's because this side is touching the angle, but is not the hypotenuse.
Remember, your hypotenuse is either the side across from your right angle or the longest side of the triangle.
So, how is the function cosine defined again? Your adjacent over your hypotenuse. So, knowing that, out of your numbers that you have here for your adjacent and your hypotenuse, which should be the numerator and which should be the denominator? Go ahead and take some time. Okay. Did everybody get 3/4? How did we get to 3/4? Well, your adjacent side, which is this side here, next to your angle and opposite the hypotenuse, is 6. Your hypotenuse is 8, which is your long side, which is 8. 6 over 8 can be simplified. Now 2 goes into both the 6 and the 8. So 2 into 6, 3 times. 2 goes into 8, 4 times. So your final simplified fraction is 3/4. I hope everybody got that answer.
Moving on. According to SOHCAHTOA, what is the last trigonometric function that we need to solve for? That's right, it would be tangent, the T of SOHCAHTOA. Remind me again, how do we solve for tangent? If you said opposite over adjacent, you'd be correct. Now, since the hypotenuse is no longer involved in our function, does that mean that the sides will change? We're going to vote yes or no. Raise hands for yes. Raise hands for no. If you said no, you'd be correct.
If we have not changed our angle, then the label of the sides will not change. Therefore, the opposite and the adjacent sides are still the same.
One more time, how do we solve for tangent? That's right, the opposite over the adjacent. Knowing that, which of our two values, 4 and 6, should be the numerator and which should be the denominator? Take some time to figure that out. Your final answer should be 2/3. Is that what you got? Let's go over it together. Tangent is defined as the opposite over the adjacent. Our opposite is defined as 4. Our adjacent is defined as 6. So, our first fraction should be 4 over 6. However, that can be simplified using the number 2. 2 can go into 4 2 times, and 2 can go into 6 3 times, giving us our final simplified fraction of 2/3.
Remember to check all of your work, and how you do that is to check your corresponding numbers and make sure that all your labels are correct by rereading your directions. If you've checked all your work and you believe that everything is correct, what should you do next? Well, what you should do is place your name at the top of your graph paper and submit your work to either Miss Kelly or myself.
You guys did excellent today. Thank you so much.